Good evening, listeners and viewers of this week in interview and TDN Radio. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. My name is Anthony Drago. I'm the host and guide of this week in interview, and we are here tonight to spend another hour together, exchanging ideas, uh, investigating, or I should say, interrogating happenings locally, regionally, internationally. And of course, when I do those things, I like to do it with folks who are just as interested and excited about uh, trying to rationalize it, keeping our ear on the ground, what other people are saying about it, forming our own opinions. And there's no other person that does it as well with me as our brother and friend, Mr. Alex Bruno. So a couple of weeks ago, Alex was supposed to be on, and through unforeseen circumstances, we didn't have him. I hope you guys didn't complain. Well, nobody really complained, but you had me all to yourself, and I hope that made up for the fact that Alex could not make it or that last time. But he's here with us tonight. My guest is Mr. Alex Bruno, political scientist, professor, former Calypsonian, what else? Radio personality himself. Uh, what else? Aviation specialist. I remember he worked for the airline. If I have to go on, I'll go on for way too long. Of course, he's a father, he's a husband, and so on. So he comes well prepped and fully qualified to have the conversation that we're having tonight. And if you're familiar with him, you will agree with me because when he says what he says, he usually will provide the backup evidence. And whether you agree or you have a different opinion, you will no doubt not be able to say that he's just talking without basis for what he's saying. And so let's give a warm welcome back to this weekend interview. Is our monthly guest, Mr. Alex Bruno. Um,
Hey, Tony.
Alex, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. And welcome back. In the month of May, whoa, the year is always almost halfway gone, and
Yeah.
you've been here every month. So let's keep it up. Well, how have you been?
We're good, man. Very, very good. It's crunch time now, end of semester.
Yeah, you're a professor, right?
So taking care of grading stuff, the usual thing.
Mm, mm,
But
mm.
I'm fine. Everything is good. What about you, Tony? I missed you the last time. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
I
Um,
hope I did you justice in carrying it, myself. We spoke about a bunch of stuff on air, but I'm doing well. As you know, I'm in New York. We're having some perfect weather. Some people think it should get warm already, but I'm enjoying the cool.
yeah.
And so I'm having a real good time this spring season. That's a little bit more towards the wintry side than the summer side so far, and I like that. So all in all, I've been good.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was in New York, I think April. No, was it
April,
April? March, end of March, early April. And that was pretty nice as well. The weather was
yeah,
lovely. I can imagine what you're actually enjoying right now.
yeah, highs in the like for the last couple of weeks, highs mostly in this high 60s. I think today went up to like 73. It's perfect weather.
Good.
Like the Calypso say, whether you can dress up in, put on your jacket and dress up well, without
We
getting
are getting hot.
without getting hot. Um, but there's so much going on, Alex, on the
Mm.
international scene, on the regional, on the local scene. Where do we start? Do we start local so that we have an opportunity to handle that? Before I go to you, let me not forget my manners and say welcome to the folks who are on, and thank you to the various radio stations that carry this weekend interview live. Radio SBE online in the Toronto market does so. RVR Jams on DigiPlay channel 59 carries it live in Dominica. TMG Radio, Talk and Music, Global Talk and Music Radio with Angelo Allen also carries us live. And of course, we can find us on most of the social media platforms. And if you don't do social media, then there is tdntv.net, tdnradio.net. Alex, do maybe we should talk about especially when you're on um, live streaming on your page.
Hmm.
If that's something that you would like, we can probably you can probably talk to Sam to see how that's possible. But yeah, let's jump right in. If you have anything in particular as your number one item, we can start. Um,
Well, well, not necessarily. As you were talking about opinions, and it is very important that whenever you offer opinion, that opinion that you offer must be based on facts. People think that they can just say what they would like, what they think is the case without doing the research
right.
necessary to make sure that whatever you offer as opinion is actually sound. Um, and someone told me, well, no, every opinion doesn't have to be based in fact. Somebody could just think what they think, and that's what they think. And I'm like, well, that's different from opinion. Because if you ask a lawyer for an opinion, they go based on case, on past precedents, things
Mhm.
that they actually studied, things that they actually researched. So I never offer opinion on anything if I cannot factually prove that to be the case. So you're right when you said that I actually speak and I like to show evidence of what I say. And I'd like to ask and advise individuals who want to share opinions publicly to make sure that when they share an opinion, that this opinion actually holds some facts. Actually it can be measured to some extent. And that's
Well,
to me.
mhm.
I wanted to start it there.
So I don't disagree with you, but I want to qualify what you just said, and put it on the audience, on the reader, on the listener of the opinion, that
Yeah.
when you consume information from somebody, it's important to know the motivation behind the person, the position of that person, what maybe his or her motivation, and you should digest that from that perspective. So I agree with you that when you express an
Hmm.
opinion, you're expressing it as a professional. Even if in your own person as Alex, you want people to you have developed a reputation that when Alex speaks, Alex is not just talking from the air.
No.
And so your motivation is to inform and to maintain your reputation as somebody who is solid. Somebody else who may have something to sell might be giving you an opinion that paints whatever their product is in the best light. And so the person who is receiving that opinion has to understand that that person has a motivation to be biased towards one aspect. So as I said, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I'm also saying that um, we have to be aware of the messenger and
Yeah.
what his motivation and what his reputation is. So yeah. So I agree. When you put that position from an Alex Bruno point of view.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it should always be that. I mean, you speak to the point of misinformation and disinformation, which is something that is prevalent now.
yeah,
Misinformation is when information can be shared with some errors. Disinformation is deliberately trying to mislead people. So people do that all the time, especially with this internet frenzy where people create scenes and create scenarios. So you are right. The misinformation and disinformation climate is very, 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 very challenging. And people have to be really critical when we listen to individuals because you never know who is trying to pull a fast one on you. For all you know, I might be trying to do that. I wouldn't do that because I'm into higher ed and my reputation is what actually I rely on.
right,
But there are people who don't really care about reputation. All they want to do is just to make sure that they get the information out and their side, they look good and their side win and the case and that's it. So you're quite right, Tony, when you ask people to think for themselves and to critically analyze information that people share with them. Of course, I have my biases. You have your biases. We all have our biases. And what we do every now and then is to try and check our biases as much as we can. And sometimes we don't do a very good job at checking it, and our little biases slip through sometimes because we are humans. But one must constantly be cognizant that when you're sharing publicly, measure your biases. Every now, check on yourself and to make sure that whatever you put out there is not deliberately trying to hurt people or mislead people. And that's how I treat every scenario, every situation, every opportunity I have to share with the public.
Yes. And so, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we develop ourselves in that sense. When I started doing this program, I took it over from Thompson Fontaine. Thompson started this week in interview. Um, I took an evening class. There is a professor from Colombia called Alimati. He wrote a couple of books, but he's a well-known journalist and he's a professor in journalism. And he ran a grassroots workshop every like once a week, every night for about 6 months, called guerrilla journalism. And what that was about was to go through. We would bring the newspapers in New York City for the last week or so and pick different articles and read them and quiz us and train us in terms of how do you read information in a newspaper or in a publication, and how do you interpret it, knowing a background as to who's the person that wrote it, in which magazine that it is. So if it's in the New York Post, it's different from it if it's in the Wall Street Journal. Not necessarily one is more true than the other, but you get that perspective. And so I think, Alex, you and I can help. The reason I'm starting there is that we have to like get our listeners, our audience, to think about how they receive information and how the information they receive influence their opinions, their actions, and their motivation, so that we're not influenced inadvertently. When we influence, we recognize that we influenced and we accept the influence that that information has on us. I'm sure you will have encountered that. You did political science, and I'm sure in your communication classes and so on, you will have encountered that.
Oh, yeah,
So
100%.
I'm taking the conversation there because I want to jump to what is the I speed show I speed
I show speed.
I show speed. I had never heard of the young man before I saw the post from Miss Dangben announcing that he was coming.
Mm,
And then there was a frenzy, right?
mm.
Um, and it seemed to have worked. Whatever it is that was the plan, which was exposure for Dominica, it seemed to have worked. But where do you place that social media influence in the whole milieu of Dominica in terms of current affairs and what's your perspective?
Well, it's a plus, definite plus. Um, and I say so with no hesitation. Although some may think that this sort of social media frenzy, this sort of um, instant celebrity type entertainment cultural event is not sustainable. But we have seen what it's done for many countries, many individuals, many regions. And like you, I didn't know I show speed. I had no clue that this person existed. In fact, when I heard of I show speed, I thought it was an event, you know. I didn't know it was an individual.
Hmm.
And then I started studying I show speed and realized what the young man has done with how many million visitors, and his net worth is in the millions of multi-millions of dollars by just being silly on TV, on camera, and capturing the imagination of individuals, mostly younger people, which is what you really need. You need younger people to pay attention. And this guy got the attention. And a lot of younger Dominicans would have been following him through Dominica and probably now might be willing to do more or
Right.
get involved. So
Hmm.
that was a very good awakener for us, I think. And I think we just have to continue from where I show speed left off. You spoke about Miss Dangleben. She's been doing her stuff, JL, also doing her stuff, Emo News, and other folks there, social media influencers. I think we have seen a lot of work done for the bouillon, the tourism people have brought down social media influencers during Carnival, and that has done well. I'm seeing the feeds every now and then in my social media on my social media platforms. So it appears as if that's a good way. It's not the only way, but I would like to encourage the authorities to continue having those social media influencers pass through and say things about our country, because that really has made a big difference. And as I said, I've seen a number of feedback from his maybe half a day tour to Dominica, and we would not be able to pay a standard tourism organization enough to for that kind of exposure that we got from iShowSpeed.
Yeah, because what is it, 53 million views?
Yes,
I
few
mean,
was.
in in what in what other realm can Dominica ever, in that kind of a way, get 53 million views in a matter of a week? Let's say all of them didn't, everybody wasn't on live, and then you have spin-offs from that. So I think it's valuable. What I want to say is, okay, so we saw Carnival.
Mhm.
Carnival 2026, by all reports and all photographs, was hugely attended.
Yes,
World Creole Music Festival before that was huge. We had
mega.
this young man again, mega following, mega exposure. How are we? How does that benefit? What's in place to see the positive impact on the everyday life of the average Dominican or the young Dominican? That is the question that puzzles me.
Yes, and herein lies the question or the problem. So he passed through. We had a good time. It was like kind of a CO, because CO is a
At Carnival,
term I
right?
think we
Yeah.
have
Mhm.
coined and made a big thing. But at the end of the CO, what are the measurables?
Right.
What can you present to me to say, okay, based on that, 6 months after, here's what we would have done? You have the young people's attention right now.
Right.
What are we doing to sustain that attention? Are we going to bring another social media influencer? We may not be able to have to be blessed with one every ever so often. Probably the next time we might have one is probably during Creole Fest or during Carnival. But in the meantime, certain things should be in place to promote young influencers from Dominica around the lines of our entrepreneurship, entertainment, culture, tourism. There are lots of things that young people can do, the same as I Show Speed. Um,
Right.
and to promote us, to promote our region, they can travel to the Caribbean, to Guadeloupe, Martinique, St. Lucia, do something similar. Not exactly what Aisha Speed is doing, but something that is unique to us. Like our Bunyo is doing very well. I can You don't have enough people to promote Bunyo. Everybody can be doing something. That's an industry that I think we should be all around and we should all embrace. And the Aisha Speed intervention tells us and shows us what is possible.
Yeah.
And certainly we can get at least a 15, 20 young people doing something and encourage them, give them the support. If it's a camera we have to buy for them, or paying their bus fare to go somewhere in the countryside to create content, just create content and probably have the local channel, if we have a local one, or have TDN radio, play the content that is created by our young people. And then they get the millions of views. I saw this guy, shy guy. He
Hmm.
did one thing, a movement of his locks in the water. And I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
you saw the video?
Yeah. Hmm.
And a million points views, a million point something views. So
Wow.
yeah, a million views already for this little video. So our young people can do that and more, and things similar to that.
Yeah.
Similar to what the folks in Nigeria do with the Bollywood or whatever they call it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and India has Bollywood, Nigeria has another
And Nigeria has Nollywood, and India has Bollywood.
Nollywood.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
we can create something else, some kind of nature wood or whatever in Dominica that cause young people to create business for themselves. I saw a situation where a young boy had a very contagious laughter, and he's now a rich person because of his laughter. So that's what I Show Speed showed us, that we can use the platform that he used and make wealth of it. And that's where the young people will react, and that's what the young people will do. And we got their attention. We have to keep them because they are very easily distracted. Of course, it's obvious. So we have to keep them. We have to get them integrated into what we do in Dominica. And I Show Speed was a rude awakener for us. It is something that we should learn from. If we do not learn from it, I think we'll go back to the same old routine.
Yeah, as you talk about Shy Guy is a perfect example because Shy Guy was his driver around
Yeah.
Dominica. And so Shy Guy does a Friday every
Yes.
week, right? And so
Yes.
he captured it perfect. There are some of those people in Dominica who are just talented and gifted that way. Miss Danguben, Jael, Shy Guy, and so on.
Mm.
So he was able to capture that. But again, how can we as a nation and what I'm going to say is that what I got from Aisha's speed is that we can take what we have, right? What he have
Yeah.
is just his body and
Yeah.
his energy and
Yeah.
his personality, but he packaged it in a way where no matter where in the world you come from, whatever culture you come from, you identify with him. And
Of
so can we learn the lesson, for example, and say our bouillon? How do we package the marketing of our bouillon so that now that bouillon seems to be peaking, people from anywhere can feel the rhythm and the vibe from the bouillon.
mhm.
And how do we now ride that wave and say get Dominican products out, get
Okay.
that how do we
So
capitalize?
here's how we do it by uniting the Bouillon team, the Bouillon troops.
Hmm.
If you observe, Aisha Speed was exposed to Triple K because I think the guys from Triple K somehow have a close relationship with the administration. Shirley and Signal Band, probably not so much. I'm not too sure why, but I'm making that point to say that for us to go anywhere, we must go there together.
Hmm.
And if you have a gigantic band like Triple K and you have a gigantic band like Signal Band, why not twin up those bands together with the original WCK, probably a little bit of the Serenade, and do a major swing Labor Day?
Right.
Bouillon should run the road in New York for Labor Day.
Yeah.
Bouillon
For
can,
Labor
and
Day.
Bouillon, there's no other music genre in the world that could run the road the way Bouillon can. So the government of Dominica they may have their favorite of Triple K or whatever the case might be. We should not be thinking about that now. We should first of all patent the name of Bouillon, the name Bouillon to Dominica, and we should send a big troop to New York. And it should be, we should lock down New York on Labor Day for Labor Day with Triple K, with Signal Band, with WCK, a little bit of Serenade, um, and maybe Chiller G, and the other guys who sang,
Mr. Ridge Rio.
mis-
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just send a big troop up there. It doesn't matter how much money it costs. Send a big troop of 30, 40 people up there. Get and invest in a heavy duty sound system that will not fail. Put that on a truck and make sure you have that thing well decorated. You have a couple of government ministers go up, and you have Dominica run the show in New York, and that will pay off, pay dividends for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have to do it right. We have to do it big. We have to get the money, and it has to be all inclusive. It cannot be one band. It has to be a Dominican contingent headed by our culture minister or director of culture or prime
Or
minister,
festivals
whoever,
or somebody. Uh-huh.
ambassador,
Yeah.
and that has to be carrying the flag of our country with all the bells and whistles that go with it. I mean, we have Dr. A up there in as our ambassador in New York. His office should be looking after that right now, getting clearance from the mayor of New York City and make sure that when Dominicans land, we land and we set on the agenda for the next 20 years in New York in terms of
I
music.
agree with you. After this year, nobody should be mistaken Dominica and the Dominican Republic. They
And
should,
but
when
that,
they
but
hear
that,
Dominica, they should say, even when the people mean Dominican Republic, the Dominican
it is
Republic people should
Dominican.
have to say, no, 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 we're not, no, not La Dominique, we are Dominican Republic, DR.
Yeah.
Because this is the opportunity where our music is riding high. Um, High Speed Show exposed our beauty
Mhm.
and the greenness of the country. But what he captured the most is the natural personality of our people.
Yes.
I think that resonated the most in what we see, and we also see it like in Carnival. You have some of those influencers, and that's what they're talking about: the people and the whole atmosphere. I
The
remember when
vibe, the
when
vibe, they
they
call it.
used to they used to coin Dominica Calypso Carnival as the most spontaneous carnival, and that in itself captured that personality of the way we celebrate. It doesn't matter that we get licked by a hurricane.
Mm-mm.
Within 2 months, we up and
We back
able
up.
to smile and laugh and make joke. And every time there's a flu, it's named after the last hurricane or the last thing that
Yes.
happened. There's certain unique things about Dominica, but well, we look forward to see how the people interact. One of the things moving on to the next topic, one of the things I would like to see with the folks who are getting all the exposure on social media, I would like to see them come together, one or two of them, and do a massive public campaign to encourage people to register to vote, to get
Oh.
on that registration
Mhm.
ballot. I think now that everybody it has their eyes on them and the social media is trending, it would be nice to get a couple of the social media people to come together. Nothing partisan. We want every single Dominican who is qualified to vote to go confirm themselves on the list so that the list can come back and come back clean. What I mean, we hearing some atrocious numbers. 6 months into the program, there's like 4,000 people that are confirmed, re-registered, maybe five now.
Yes. Um, so that's terrible. That's sad. And much more can be done and should be done. I do not know whether all and sundry are understanding the need to have the reconfirmation done successfully. I still believe that somehow we are still pulling sides and believing, oh, it's I not in them people business and they do what they want. I not getting involved. I not voting. That is the most negative backward step that we can take as a people to say we're not going to be an elector because electors are the one who decide who govern our country. So if we think something should be done, doing nothing does not make sense. So
Right.
I'm supporting you, Tony, that maybe the influencers could come together and do a massive turnout, do a massive registration, well, reconfirmation process. Again, there's a lot of partisan shenanigans taking place, but if Dominicans get the right incentive and they are sold on the need to register or to reconfirm to elect the next government, I think Dominicans will. And probably your suggestion is a great one, that the jails and the Dublins, and the MO News et al. should
Shy
really do
guys, yeah.
something to get the shy guys to get Dominicans out. Again, I do not know whether everybody want every Dominican to reconfirm, because based on what I'm hearing, it seems as if a party is focusing on their people, and that is so sad because nobody is owned by any party. You may have voted a party last time and you could vote another party the next time. No elector belongs to a party. You may support a party, but as an elector, you're an independent person. So it doesn't matter if the red party is reconfirming more people. Try to coax the red people that they reconfirm to vote for blue or yellow or pink. That's how elections are won and
Hmm.
or lost. So nobody is owned by a party and everybody should reconfirm. So if you're reconfirming people in Roseau and you see somebody who you think does not support you, reconfirm them all the same, because that's how you might just get that individual. And we have to take our mindset away from blue and red and yellow and pink politics in the sooner we do that is the better. And that's
Better.
how we have to approach a reconfirmation, non-partisan.
There's something I don't understand about the reconfirmation. I don't know if you might be able to answer it or somebody that's hearing us can answer it. So w- there are certain documents and certain credentials that people have to present
Yeah.
that should qualify them to get reconfirmed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I have to investigate it more because I'm hearing that there is like 14, 15,000 people who have quote unquote applied, but only 4, 5,000 have been approved, right?
Yeah.
What I don't understand that step. In other words, uh, 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 voting is everybody's right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you set a criteria that says if I show up and I prove my identity and I prove everything that you need, and so to the extent where you agree that I can fill out this application form, it should be automatic that I'm confirmed, unless later down you prove that one of the documents I presented to you was false. So I don't understand who gets to approve a quote unquote application. I
Well,
don't know if you're more familiar with the process than me.
I'm not. I'm not. But you know what I'm getting from what you're saying. I'm not an authority on the process. But what I'm getting from what you're saying is the idea, the same machination that continues to take place, where somehow some people are confident or contented with delaying and being selective about who's reconfirmed. I believe that there is a selection process taking place,
Yeah,
and
I believe
if
that once, without cutting you, once you fill out the form and your credentials meet the
it
criteria, you
should,
automatically reconfirm.
it should, but no, the people, the powers that be, probably have a different thinking about that. And you know, in a democracy, it's not everybody that matters, and it's the majority. So even
Right.
if at the end of the process it's only 10,000 people who are reconfirmed, and six of those 10,000 people vote one way, that's it. You don't really need everybody to vote to win. And that is, I think, the game that is being played out, where I think there is a selection process, there is a delayed strategy taking place. And based on what I am understanding, we have until Augustish to have
Yeah,
this
we
process
halfway
done.
through. We're halfway through. And and
So
and, and I think statistically we're expecting that if let us say we have a population of 70,000, in terms of demographics, we should expect a list of about 40,000 maybe
voters. Well,
voters.
yeah, but I don't think we have 70,000 people, though. I think our
Okay,
population in Dominica is much smaller. I think we
okay,
are close to 50s,
let's say we have
high
50,000
50s.
people.
Mm,
50,000 people, we should still maybe end up with 35,000 people on the list. So
yeah.
if halfway through we're only at 5,000,
We have
we
we have
have
to
to do,
gallop
we have to
speed.
put a lot of effort for the second half.
Yeah, we have to. And I think it's possible. I mean, countries with greater populations than Dominica have done this in 2, 3 months.
In 2, 3 months, yeah.
So I don't see why we cannot reconfirm everybody who is willing to reconfirm in the next 2, 3 months. I mean, we
And
can
at,
do it.
and at what point do we look at the performance of the people who are responsible for the reconfirmation and say, listen, we
No,
probably need a new
no,
team?
no. We should look at it now and we should talk about it. That's what we're doing. And
Yeah.
there should be more analysis and investigation of what is happening or what is not happening.
But,
As I
but
said,
yeah,
go ahead. Mhm.
sorry. No, I was going to say that if we look at it, Alex, if you have a business or you have a company or whatever it is, yeah, and your 50% of your time has gone and you are 5% of progress,
Mhm.
somebody need to give you a plan of how you're going to catch up, or you need to replace the person who's responsible for it, the person of the team.
Well, that's why it's important that we have a kind of a collaborative effort in the opposition or in the alternative. People who want to see things done differently should come together and we should speak on one accord. I see a possibility for all the parties and individuals involved and interested in challenging the incumbent party to just have a nice big gathering where everybody speak on the same issue.
Yeah,
Has that happened? No. Everybody's pulling in their own little corner. But somebody, maybe you, Tony, or somebody, should bring us together and let's speak to Dominicans in one accord. That has not yet been done. That's what has to be done. And I think if we do that, we can summon people to do the groundwork to make it happen. So we will do what probably the incumbent does not want to see done. The massive people of number people reconfirm. I honestly do not think that the incumbent party is very excited about massive reconfirmation numbers. I don't think they are, based on everything that we understand in the system. So we in the alternative must come together. Joshua, Thompson, me, every all of us. We should now be
well,
speaking after this discussion, and we should plan, and not for our protest, not for our demonstration or protest, just for us to convene and for us to speak on one accord. We all sign a document that says the joint alternative force of Dominica do thereby whatever, whatever, whatever. It's as
I
simple as
agree with
that.
that. Yeah. So, Alex, before my producers cut my neck, let me take a commercial break. When we
Okay.
come back, we'll continue to talk. I want to talk about the rainfall event that we had that caused so much havoc
Yeah.
in Dominica, and how we maybe can What can we do to make our people suffer less? We cannot stop the weather, but we can probably lessen the impact and hasten the recovery. So, folks, you listen to this week in interview of my guest Alex Bruno. Um, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Presented by
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
Running a radio station shouldn't be chaos. It should be simple, smart, and professional. With Joan Premium, your entire week schedule is beautifully organized and easy to manage. Real-time accuracy keeps your listeners in sync with every show. Your visitors and audience sees the right schedule every time, wherever they are. They can even choose different time zones. From analytics to social media and native app integration, Joan Premium is the professional tool your station deserves. You're never alone. We provide priority support for active license users. We're building a community. Connect with broadcasters worldwide through our Joan Community Hubs. Choose your plan, annual flexibility, or lifetime freedom. Get Joan Premium today. www.gndenterprisesinc.com or call 877-698-9894 for more information.
All right, so we're back. Thanks for staying with us through the break. My guest tonight is Mr. Alex Bruno, Professor Alex Bruno, and we're talking through just our objectives, really, just help to, I guess if like just shake up stuff and let the dust fly up and get your brain just thinking about things, in a certain way that will help to maybe motivate you to reach out to somebody or to take action in whatever is within your control. And all of us have a certain sphere of influence. So, for example, if you're qualified to vote in Dominica, have you gone through the reconfirmation process? Have you gone in and have you filled out the form and applied to be on the voters list? And if you have you been quote unquote confirmed? I really even hate to repeat that, but that's the process. I apply and you get confirmed. If you haven't, have you tried and were unsuccessful? Or if you just are you not interested and why you're not interested? And if all of those is that yes, I've already gone in and do it, I would encourage you to look around you and ask 5, 10 people if they've already gone through the process. And if they haven't, um, try to have a little conversation with them and see why what mentally are the barriers why maybe they think it doesn't make a difference. What's the purpose? It's too much trouble. I have to go to work. By the time I come from work, the office is already closed. It would be nice to just talk about it and see if we can find solutions to make it more popular, more sexy for people to go and sign up and register. Right, Alex?
Yes, I agree with you. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
and that, yeah, and I all you know me. I am Mr. Collaborator. I always believe that we should do things strategically. We should be purposeful about the things that we do, and we should find ways to appeal to our people, no matter what. Some people think that you need a lot of money, a lot of largesse to do certain things. You don't really need that. You just need ideas, and you need ways to execute your ideas and to get people involved in the things that you do, to sell people on your ideas, and that's how you make money. That's how this young man I should speed made his money. He didn't have money to start. He had an
Yeah,
idea and he used
went
it.
into
So
one of himself, right?
yeah, so you're right. I'm with you on that. And I mean, I've been hammering this. You have been, but somehow I believe the the dots have not been connected as yet in the when it comes to the things that we really need to do as a people. And until we find the way to do it, I think we're going to bask in the unenviable position that we are basking into, where one incumbent group of individuals have, for the past quarter century, locked down power and control in our country. This is just so laughable. When there's so many things that we can do to see the return of these individuals, but somehow, Tony, we have not been able to do what we need to do.
Yeah. And what I say is that I've had some conversations with folks, and everybody is talking about ways and means get to take people to register. But I am saying it's the opposite. There are a few
Take
people that
people.
might need some assistance. But if you can influence
You don't need to take people.
10,000 people to come to the Roseau Carnival Monday and Tuesday so that the band can stretch from one end of the bayfront to the next, I think that is instructive. That
Yeah,
if we can generate, what we have to do is to generate the interest and the motivation so people will get up on their own volition and go and register.
you
It's
don't
not,
need to take people.
you don't need to take people. That should not be
No.
the focus. The focus should be to have it where it's in the consciousness of the nation that there is this thing going on and it is so important. Let us go and register. Yeah.
In fact, reconfirmation is so important that it should be sort of like a political slogan right now.
Yeah.
It should be like the most important issue. Bread and butter, survival, life, progress should depend on reconfirmation. But for that to be a party, a group, individuals must make it that.
Let's make
And
it
for it
that.
to be that, we must all speak in one accord, find a way to phrase it and to frame it and put it out there. So
And to have a
Dominicans would,
public campaign. Mhm.
yeah, Dominicans would would reply a mass or respond a mass.
Mhm.
But the
Mhm.
way it has been done with the little splinter, these little echoes over there, it's not happening.
The whisper.
It's not happening, man. It's not happening. We need to make
So,
that the
y-
first and the main issue.
yeah, like when there is an outbreak of dengue, we have this public service announcement to
Yeah.
empty all water containers on the outside, put holes in cans, you know, and everybody joins and we do it, and in no time our mosquito population is almost nil. We
Mhm.
need something like that, a public service announcement,
Awareness.
public service awareness that everybody say, oh yeah, this is what I need to do. I need to go do that. So Alex, we saw recently there was some rain, a lot of
Mhm.
rain. But if you're from Dominica, we get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
Surprised at the extent of catastrophe that resulted. And folks say you always have rain, but it's not usual, unless if it's a hurricane, for us to have so many different places that we had that kind of effect.
Mhm.
What's happening in our country?
Okay, so Tony, there's a little silent disaster that has happened and has happened over time that we seem to cast a blind eye to. Deforestation, the improper use of land. And we can take it even back to Erica, where those super floods are not because we instantly have a lot of rain, rain, rain. We have always been a country where we have a lot of rain.
Hmm.
But I think in recent time, I think the effect of our action have been shown, where the water pretty much uses this open field that has been done. I mean, if you look at what happened in the area where they were doing the little mining, they call it, or whatever, excavation
Not little, no? Big.
for rock, you should see how it became a thoroughfare in terms of the leeway that the water had to move. And you can look at many other places as well, and you can look at the activities that have happened there a decade before and are still happening. We are having a serious impact on our waterways. Many of the rivers in Dominica, the water level is low. Of course, when it rains a lot, it overflows, but traditionally, because of how we have treated the land, how we have cut down trees, of how we have excavated the river. I mean, I've seen caterpillars and backhoes in the river digging riverbeds. Oh, I mean, who does that?
Take and remove
Why?
all the stones so the
Remove
rivers
all
don't
this.
they don't look like rivers anymore. They look like channels,
Yeah,
drains.
so when you take off the stones from the riverbed, you kill the river, like
Yeah.
essentially, because the stones is what give the riverbed its foundation or its bed. So I think a lot of what we have done, so in the past, in recent time, we have not been. Athi Mate have spoken a lot about that, but people don't listen to Athi because they
Forever,
feel
you know.
Athi is
Forever.
a troublemaker, but Athi has been on it. There was a time when there was some talk about changing the botanic gardens into some bowling alley and stuff like that. And people, we have seen over the past quarter century, we have not been thinking conservative. We have not been thinking progressive. And it's whoever, whatever, however, wherever. And when we have a little rain or heavy rain, we see the effects of those things. I mean, I saw Newton Savannah flooded the other day. And again, we can go back and see what happened in Kingsville and other places, Baffin State and so on. Poor use of land. And I think that is one of the main reasons why we have all those catastrophic effects of the recent weather we had in Dominica. And even going back to Erica, these were some super, super, super storms. And you cannot just really write off what we do and say it's ocean warming or whatever it is. I think a lot of our actions cause us to suffer the way we suffer from those natural interventions.
And it's a shame because it demonstrates a reversal. Because we had institutions and we had professionals
Yeah,
that used whose job it was or whose job it is to protect us against ourselves.
yeah,
And those institutions have now been muzzled. You know,
yeah.
I never forget. I hear the guy who is I guess he's the project manager at the airport, Mr. Johnson. I heard him on Q95 saying that it was I guess he was either talking about the airport or Devansh, but talking about the fact that there was not an application at the time with
Mhm.
physical planning and that was approved for the development. And he says, man, let's face it, the people that are building on behalf of the government. The application you submit is the application you submit is to the government. So it's as if the government is applying to the government for permission to do something for the government.
I heard
And he
that.
said, it goes on to like you at your home and you want to make some coffee, so you have to ask yourself permission to use your
But I
kitchen
didn't.
to make
But I didn't
coffee for
agree. I
yourself.
didn't agree with him.
So that is total nonsense.
I didn't agree with this guy, and he sounded eloquent and learned. And I don't think he was making a lot of sense at all. I mean, he was even to me arrogant about it too. When I heard him,
I,
that wasn't right.
I would like to see him in a group of his colleagues, compatriots, let's say from the Caribbean, fellow engineers or whatever he is. And I would like to see him defend that statement outside of saying it on Dominica because there's a certain, I guess it's his project and he's trying to defend this project and then he's saying whatever.
Mhm.
How do you,
But he didn't get away with saying it. He said it, and I heard it, and I just dismissed it. I just said, maybe next. So he didn't get away with it. I mean, and anybody who analyzed what he said would have concluded differently. And I saw this statement. I'm like, really? I mean, why would you? I mean, he's like actually saying that the government should not get permission to do what the government has to do.
It's optional. If the
Yeah, you
government
cannot
choose
say
or if
that.
he choose not to. That's crazy.
Probably he does not understand what the government is. He think the government is a few people up there who are in a business or in the office. The government is us. You are developing stuff for us. So we have to make sure that whatever you're doing is being done well. So if he doesn't understand that, I don't think he doesn't. I think he is just trying to make a
I think
case
the
for his project.
expediency. But
Yes.
again, the reason why I bring that up is from where we started. We have
Mm,
to get our people to understand that when you listen to somebody or you read what somebody wrote, you 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 try it before you digest it. You try to tell yourself who is that person and in what
yes.
capacity and what do they have to lose or to gain by what they're saying, and that
Mm,
should inform as to how you digest what the person is saying.
that is so true. But not everyone is equipped with the critical skills to analyze stuff the way that we do. Because remember, Tony, we in our education system is highly punitive. I used to believe before I was educated that education was an elitist thing. I frowned on education. I didn't think it was a thing that I should do because the people who were educated were kind of standoffish. So I didn't want to be like them. So I thought education was making you that. But education actually humbles you. And then one of the first persons who explained that to me was Dr. Honeychurch, a man I love and admire this man. So he said, Alex, education should humble you, it should ground you, it should not exalt you the way some people are exalted. So it's only after I became educated I understood what education actually is. But I didn't like education before. And there are many people who do not like educated people in our system because they believe, oh, vary Mr. because he goes school then. And that is one of the problem I think. So most people are not equipped to analyze critically because that takes some kind of a training and some kind of discipline as well. And the average person don't have it. And that's one of the problems we have in Dominica. We are great people. We are very brilliant people, but we lack certain training, political training, civic education, critical knowledge, and stuff like that. And that is one of the impediments in our Dominican society.
I'll tell you, Alex, I studied engineering in the US. And
Mm,
I came back to Dominica in 1990 with my degree in engineering.
yeah.
And I was trying to get a job. It took me 4 months in Dominica to get a job.
Hmm.
And you know, one of the pushback I was getting is that American education is inferior.
Inferior.
Inferior. I mean, you must remember at that time where people used to value British and University of the West Indies over American education. Or
Inferior.
In America, they're only doing multiple choice and they're only doing whatever and whatever. And I'm saying, but America is leading the world at the time in technology, leading the world in innovation, the largest economy in the world. You know, most of the big successful education institutions were American. So how do you frown on an American education? And so we always have some kind of qualification. We don't qualify, you know.
Hmm.
If you had gone to UE, then we could trust you more as an engineer. You know,
Really?
it's a lot less now. I can tell you, we've come a long way in the last 30 years, but that was a big stigma that you know you have an American education as opposed to a British education. It's part of the colonial thing. And
Well,
so it took us a little while for us to appreciate that training is important, you know. But in my statement about people educating people about questioning the message based on the background of the messenger, is that anybody can do that. If you come home and your mother tell you something, understand that she is your mother and take what she's telling you on that basis that she is your mother, so she has certain motivations towards you. You go down the road and you talk to your pastor. Take what your pastor tell you, the fact that he's your pastor, and what could probably possibly be his motivation for giving you that information. And I'm not saying that to say that everybody has a negative motivation, I'm saying that everybody has has a motivation
Oh, yeah.
to give you information, and understanding, making it a practice to just ask a question: who am I getting that information for? And who's that person? And what's their interest? I think is a huge um, step towards making sure that you're not unintentionally influenced.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite fair. In fact, that's the first chapter that I teach in the course that is required
Oh, really?
for
Okay.
critical thinking. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for all students in the state of Florida to get a degree, they need to pass a civic education, civic course that explains how government works, the responsibility of the citizens. Can you imagine that being done in Dominica? I think it was done. We taught civics before, but now we
Just
don't do that anymore.
mm-hmm.
But we need to inculcate that in the minds of our children. You see, I mean, even talking about what we need to do now, our focus should be on the Gen Alphas. These are the ones who should be teaching. We should be teaching now. Hopefully, in the next generation, they would fix the problem we have. Because Tony, it's going to take a lot for us to have the average Dominican now wake up to the reality that we have to pick up our country in our hands and fix it. Because some people are satisfied. Some people, I don't know if I said that to you before, but some people like you and I, the age group that we are in, probably had not done well enough for themselves, and probably the best way out, or their power, or their party, or the incumbency is their salvation, their hope, their investment, their gratuity, their pension. I do not depend on any party or any government now for my pension because I have worked and tried to do something for myself. But some people, or maybe a lot of people, really rely on that. And do we really blame people who really think that they want some security and the best way they can get it is through the incumbency? No. If I was in a situation today where I was living on an island and I had no money and no means of taking care of my family and my children, and a politician is giving me the money, Tony, I will take the money. Because that's the worst thing on earth is when a man cannot feed their family, when a lady can't feed their family.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some serious issues in Dominica to figure out. A lot of serious issues. But it cannot be solved by one group, one party, one movement. The way we are now, at the stage we are in Dominica now, Tony, it will take what you say in the education to look at things and to analyze things and to see what people are telling you. But it will take more than that as well. It will take a lot of other different things happening at the same time if we are to stand a chance to rebuild our country. And even if we start now, it will take another 10 years. So we should have started 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Well, I want to push back.
Yeah.
I want to push back and be more optimistic than you.
Mhm.
Every Dominican has a phone, and that phone has tremendous capability and tremendous capacity. And the other thing that you said was that if we can get all the folks who have the same motivation to
Mhm.
see the dispatch of the incumbent,
Yes.
if we can somehow get that small group, so we're not talking about generations, we're talking
No,
about 20 people, 10,
you're
20
right.
people, if that,
And
right?
I agree with you. If we can get that, we can fix our problem almost overnight.
Right. Because after that now is to develop the message and
Mhm.
develop the mechanism for the message. And I put
Yes.
it to you that the media or the medium is already there to reach 95% of the population. So really and truly, it's a very bright path, the yellow brick road or the guanchime,
Mhm.
as we would say in Dominica, where we can say, okay, how do we get those 10 people in the same room?
Hey.
And we wouldn't get all of them to hug and kiss, but we can get them to agree, to find the things that they can agree on, and start from there to disseminate that message.
Mhm.
That's the key, I think.
When you can get that done, the sooner you can get that done, my friend, the sooner we'll be on our way to recovery. I've said so before that we are a very small country for very small population. That and we can fix our issues as long as we find a way to come together to do it.
Yep.
But this is something that has to happen, Tony. And until it happens, I think our focus has to be on other people who will eventually make it happen. Because if we have to wait at the pace at which some people are moving in the system in Dominica, my brother, the people, there's a sort of stalemate and incumbency on both sides of Dominican politics. Those in power, those out of power, and they are trying to hold on to whatever it is. So it's like new energies, new ideas are being boxed out no matter what you do. We have to find a way to get serious.
Yeah.
Put our country first and say, guys, man, we have to move our country. Let's do it together. Let's all put our shoulder to the wheel and push. But when you want to push that way and say it's you alone that can do it, and we're not going to go anywhere. But if you can do it, Tony, or if you know anybody who can do it, I think we should be fine. But until and unless that is done, we have some problems.
Yeah. And I think that it can be done. I think we have to figure out a way to make these folks see that what we're proposing is actually in their best interest. Because right now it seems like everybody think their best interest is, how do you say, like you have, when you're doing mass, you're doing Venn diagram, you have one set here and one set here, and they're mutually exclusive from each other. So my interest is not your interest because I want to be prime minister and you want to be prime minister, and there's only one person that can be prime minister. So
Yeah.
our interests don't mesh. But if we can make people understand that I want to be prime minister and you want to be prime minister, and both of us can be prime minister just sequentially. So you can be prime minister today, and I'll be prime minister in 2 years' time, or 3 years' time, or 4 years' time, or 10 years' time. Or you might find out that you don't want to be prime minister anymore because the person that is prime minister has changed the country so much that you're doing so well for yourself that you don't want to be bothered being prime minister anymore.
And,
We have to find a way to have that kind of conversation with each other.
but yeah, and then it reminds me of an agreement or gentleman's agreement that was made by two major political party leaders on the same party. And at the end of the day, one party leader reneged on the agreement, and that party other, and there was a shift. And that began the slide in a particular political situation in Dominica up until this day, the division continues. So it's good to promise and to say, but people have to be true to the things that they say. We cannot all be prime minister. Why should we all want to be leader? Why should we all want to fight to get into office? I don't want to get into office, but I want to see Dominica move. You, Thompson, want to get into office. Let's talk to find a way for Dominica to move while you're in office, and I'm helping you to get to be in office. You, Tony, might want to be something. Let's work together. Let's find an equation that gets everybody to benefit. And that is what we have to figure out. We just have not found a way to work it out together. And while we continue doing this, one group of people, one man, is enjoying the benefit. And you think it's 20 people, Tony, that's holding us back in the opposition? No, it's about 2 or 3. And if those 2 or 3 people decide, hey, we have heard enough, man, fellas, let's talk, and call a summit at Jungle Bay somewhere, at Fort Young or somewhere, and make it happen.
Oh, well, you revenge Gasarus, for God's sake.
Yeah, let's make it happen. It's just about 2 or 3 people who are who's holding back political progress in their position. And I won't call names because today's not Carnival Monday. But it's not a lot of people. It's just about 2 or 3 people.
And we have to learn to trust each other. But as I said, self-interest is something innate. And so I think the key is to demonstrate to people that there's a path towards their own self-interest that goes through lifting the ship, that everybody gets lifted together. Instead of everybody struggling and fighting and you're sinking, if everybody gets lifted, everybody interest.
Yeah.
Self-interest is served.
I mean, you remember Kudme, that's a tradition in Dominica. Dying out a bit now, but that's a big part of our Dominican culture. And I am not too sure whether you would have seen the halba, the cutting of the wood of the log, right? That shows cooperation as well. But the most significant one is the house. Like when you have to move a house from one spot to another in the village.
Yeah.
And All the people come together. The women cook the food, the children carry the water for the men, and the men and boys, they are the ones who push the house on the logs, and there will be
Hmm.
somebody saying Meze Mario, and then you give it the call, the chant for, and then people go together, and we would move that house in less than no time. But
An entire house. Yeah.
can you imagine one person trying to move that house? It's not going to move. So that is the same thing we have to go back to. We have to find a way to come together to move our country.
Yeah. And
Take it away.
I I grew up in the country and I see it. Like people would come together, somebody get a piece of land and they want to everybody come together to that person's land that
And
Saturday.
yeah,
And by the end of the day, the work is done. Next Saturday or
you go
next
to the
month,
other
they
person.
go to the other person, and they go
Yeah.
to the other person. And nobody is saying, well, after Mister do his, um, when it's my turn, he wouldn't show up.
No,
That was not part of
the,
the thinking. The psyche wasn't there. It
the,
was like, yeah, everybody is
the,
going to come.
maybe now it's different, but back then you are quite right. And we didn't have to pay those $150 labor per person. We give our labor to our neighbor and friends, and then we share. And at the end of the day, when we had excess food, we share. That
Yeah,
was, but you know that all of that was changed again because of the same economic stabilization and sort of principles of global order, where it is believed that there is no value in sharing of labor and commodities because that is not being cut by the economic metrics. And Thompson can speak to that because he's an economist. So it used to be that cannot be measured. So that is not a way to go. We have to actually pay labor and make returns from the labor that we pay. So now we're now paying people, and we can't afford to do it because
yeah,
it makes no sense to us. Our economy was not built on that. Our economy was built on subsistence, on barter, on trade. But the global order now do not see that as something that is viable for global economies. So we moved small countries like Dominica and St. Lucia and Grenada and Guadeloupe from that. And now people know for you to get somebody to work in your farm for you, on your farm for you, you're going to have to pay so much money that you never had to pay before. At the end of the day, you cannot have a successful farming business.
yeah.
And that's one of the problems we have.
So much stuff. Even in the village, a small thing like a chicken,
Mm,
one person will have a fowl, right? And you give your neighbor that fowl, and that fowl is half and half.
yeah.
So half of the fowl belong to you and half belong to the neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
When that chicken come and it make young ones, they either take the young ones now and they divide the chicks half and half. So
Yes.
now you own all your chicks, but the hen is still half and half until such time that you kill it and you send that person half for them and you have and by that time you have 10, 12 chicken and they have their 10, 12 and you move on
Yeah.
like that.
Stri-
And we do it with cattle, we do it with chicken, we do it with
Goats.
goats, everything.
Yeah, and you cut the goat straight down the center. Here's your
Yeah,
half, here's your half. And you're quite right, the little piglets and the little kids they produce, you share them as well, half,
share
half.
them
And at
half
the end of
half.
the day, in a couple of years, you develop your take. So you're quite
Yeah,
right. That's how we roll. But do we still do it that way? Probably not. Can we learn from those things? Yeah. Do we have to do everything that way? No, no. But at least we can find a way to cooperate, to collaborate. When it comes to moving our country is too bountiful and beautiful for us to be held back by a 25-year incumbency. It is just not right. I'm not against the government or any politician. I just believe that you can't have one group, a stale group, running the country for so long. It's everything about that is wrong. Everything about it is wrong. You cannot progress if you have the same stalemate.
especially when you're not seeing results that
No,
are benefiting the country, you know.
if Dominica was flourishing, fine. But we're not, man. Small business people are suffering. People are under duress. So we need to do something. And then again, the call goes out to all and sundry. Now, I am hopeful because I'm getting calls now from people who were at odds with me when I started speaking about a new way, a different kind of conversation, a different approach. And now they're calling me and saying, well, we probably should talk 3, 4 years after the fact. And I'm like, okay, probably there is hope. But I think again, as I said, 2 or 3 people in the business, in the political business, in the opposition in Dominica must get serious. and put away their egoistic, preferences when it comes to my party or whose party, and let's put our country forward and see what's best to sort of offer Dominica a different way, a different track away from the present situation. Again, no, I have no issues if anybody, personally, but when it comes to the country, we can do better,
We
and we
can do
can
that.
actually turn a new page.
Yeah. Alex, I don't know if there's any other. There's so much going on, but I don't know if there's any one particular thing that we maybe missed or not that you want to mention. Um, if not, then we can wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, we can save it for later on. The
Mhm.
only thing that we could maybe get into is the architecture, and that's in the area. The architecture, the changing face of Dominican architecture, and from what it was to what it is becoming now. Is there a plan in place for that? If there is a plan, who is controlling the plan? And can we see the fruition of that plan? Or can we see the vision of that plan for the next 20, 30 years? What will Rosa look like in 20, 30 years? And why? And what's being done to do that?
That is so important, because we see some of our traditional architectural construct buildings
Mhm.
being burnt in the
Yeah.
last few months, in the last couple of months,
Maliciously so, as it appears,
as it
because
appears.
there's suggestion that those, well, at least one of the fires was actually maliciously done.
Hmm.
No, I'm not saying that we must keep all the old buildings, but at least we can preserve them because that is the value. There is no other place you can find those sort of building. Well, there are other places, but if you can preserve yours with what we are doing in Dominica, that is a sure bet for increasing tourist visitation in a residential town.
Right.
Where we have rivers running through the tongue, we have a green space by the botanic gardens. There is so much we can do to package Dominica for the next quarter century. So we have to have that vision. Are we going to have a flyover or a bridge? Are we going to dome the bridge by the stadium and have a? I mean, there's so many things we can do. So we have to have a plan. So I maybe on our next program we can speak about that.
Yeah.
Roso in 25 years, and what probably we can do. Probably a new government, a new group of people should give us a new vision for Roso. I saw visions for Roso in the last two free elections, but the vision is just colas roads, tar roads, and sidewalks.
Hmm.
Nothing
Trying
else. No,
trying to turn Dominica into a Caribbean Dubai. Dominica cannot be a Caribbean Dubai.
no, man,
You should
no,
not try to be a Caribbean Dubai.
no. We have our own unique cultural identity, and that's what we have to use to develop our country.
One is in the desert and one is in a beautiful, lush rainforest. So there's no way you should try. They wish they were in a lush rainforest.
Yeah,
We cannot try to do that.
replicate what they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. So, Alex,
Um,
I want to tell you thank you, for your time and for your knowledge and for willing to, just talk. As I said, people say talk, 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 but if we don't talk, what do we do? Fire bullets,
yeah,
you
but
know?
talk is the best action. Some people think
Yeah.
we shouldn't talk, but talking is to me the best action that you can do because at least you can reason, you can negotiate,
Mhm.
you can analyze, you can learn from each other.
Can learn from each other.
Yeah, so I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. I'm happy that you invite me once a month to do this. I look forward to doing it with you, and I'm hoping that the people who are consuming the content that we're actually delivering understand that we're just engaging for the benefit of our people and our country and not necessarily against you and your party or your group. That's not what my intention is. We have to agree to disagree. And anybody who is reasonable enough, who understands where we are in Dominica today with a stale incumbent for 25 years, a quarter century, should appreciate the need for at least a different course. Even if you think that the incumbent opposition is not it, but at least you should agree that we probably should change course or we should at least freshen the situation. And I think 99.19% of Dominicans agree that with that statement. The problem is, what is the alternative? What do we replace this with? And that is what we have to figure out as a group of people. So talking is important, Tony. And let's continue talking. We hope that the conversation broadens and more people sit down, not necessarily in the public space, but behind the scenes, plotting, strategizing, planning a new horizon for our country.
Definitely, Alex. And I'm just going to take it from where you left it and to say that sometimes in the discussion, when we have folks who support the incumbent and they see situations that there's no way around it, it's not the best situation. Their final closing remark, like you used to do wrestling and they used to say their signature move.
Yes.
But if it's not he, then who?
Oh boy. Oh gosh.
and,
Oh.
and and I would jokingly say, may his soul rest in peace. Papi is a viable alternative, in my opinion. Because but 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 my serious answer is that if after 25 years somebody hasn't groomed a distinct successor, then that in itself points to how much of a failure that person is as a leader.
Amen.
So
Amen.
when you say if it's not him, then who? You should not just be directing that at the quote unquote opposition parties. You should be also directing that at the incumbent. After 25 years, sir, any one of us can get a heart attack, a stroke, an accident, whatever it is unforeseen. So after 25 years, if something unfortunate were to happen, or you decide you're tired, you want to step aside, how comes we don't know who is your distinct and blessed and groomed successor?
Successor. And that goes back to even Dame Eugenia too, who people think was a great leader. I don't think she was because there was no succession plan in terms of her party. And this present situation is even worse. This is a
Yeah,
bigger dismal fail. So that if not him, who that's for them. Anybody else, you, Tony, me, anybody else can lead our country. Because before this one was leading our country, what did he do? What
exactly.
knowledge did he have? What skills did he have? So, and there are people now in the politics who are starting with so much more than he started with. So it can be anybody, including Papi, may his soul
Yeah,
rest in
may his
peace,
soul rest
to
in
take
peace.
to take
Mhm.
us moving forward. That if not him, who is for them.
Yeah,
And you're quite right about that. Not for the rest of our people. Because
yep.
anybody could take it from him.
Anybody
Anybody.
could and do just as well. And if they don't, we should be willing to
Move
try
them.
somebody else.
Move
That's
them,
all.
yes.
Yeah. It's not that we want to put somebody else there for another 25 years. We want to put somebody else to see, give them a chance. And if they have results, you support them. And they don't have results, you say thank you very much and you try somebody else. You know.
Yeah.
But Alex, I want to let you go. And
Amen.
I already said thanks. I'm going to say thanks again. And we will do this again in June. You know.
Sure.
It was great having you. So, folks, I want to tell you thank you for staying with us for an hour and a half. And of course, as I said, thank you to my guest. Thank you for the participation. And next week, Wednesday. Next week, Wednesday is our Green MAGA program, Make Agriculture Great Again, and with Adrian Barnes, and he's coming with a guest as well. And so we're going to talk about sustainable food production, sustainable agriculture, and food production. So until then, I want to say good night to you folks, Casseros people, and not just Casseros people, but I don't. There's a restaurant on the highway in Casseros heading to the Kalinago territory called Island View Restaurant. And the proprietor of that restaurant, Mr. Rudy, um, last time I was in Dominica, I stopped by, had something to eat, and he have his shelves. He's like a chemist. He has his shelves with all kind of local rum, with everything in there. He had one named Trump. He had one named Putin. He had different things. And at the time, I had a soft fruit, and he gave me something for my fruit. And during that time, I found out that we were actually related, very closely related. Um, but he has left this physical world and he has transitioned. And so I want to express condolences to the family and the loved ones and the community. And I'm sure there are thousands of people who have gone in that spot and take a photo of the islets from his restaurant. So we want to just wish him and rest in peace, and his family our sincere condolences. So, folks, there you have it, another episode of This Week in Interview. Stay tuned for next week, Wednesday, as I said, for our Green MAGA program, Making Agriculture Great Again in Dominica. Good night, folks.